Oh, hi, welcome to Sewing Nerd Studios. I am Jo, and we're gonna go down memory lane because we are hitting the 10-year anniversary of me running my small business, and it has taken many forms. Thought it would be fun to share how it started and how it has evolved over the past decade. Is a wild thing to say. As happens too often with me, it all started with a medical emergency where I had to have a wisdom tooth extracted, and I immediately got dry socket, and it was one of the most painful things I've ever been through. So I had to go back and forth to my oral surgeon's office 4 or 5 times over the course of a week. It was a lot, but it was this time of year. It was late February into early March, and I wore this hooded scarf that I made in one of my Sewing Nerd videos, which is where the name comes from. It's literally just that I sew nerdy things, and I am a nerd about the sewing. That's my elevator pitch. Both the receptionists actually worked at dental offices I used to do deliveries for at a previous job. Ended up chatting more than I think you normally would with a receptionist at an appointment when I was waiting around. Eventually that led to them asking me where I got the hooded scarf, and I told them I made it. And they were like, oh my God, I didn't know that you sewed, because they just thought of me as a delivery driver. But I'm a multifaceted woman. They ordered some hooded scarves for relatives. They got them for their daughters or something. Absolutely did not charge enough. Honestly, I'd be surprised if I even charged enough to cover cost of materials. It was much nicer fleece than what I used for my own hooded scarf, because of course it was. Little side note, when I was laying the fabric out to make these, I had Frank, our previous senior mini dachshund rescue. I thought he was coming to like snuggle and like curl up on the fabric like it was a little blanket, and he just immediately pissed over a corner of it. So I had that much less material to work with. They ordered stuff and were like, hey, you should open an Etsy shop. I think I ended up selling 2 or 3 of them. And I was like, you know what? I've never thought about it. I looked into it, ended up at some point in the following months buying a table for GraniteCon, the Granite State Comic Con, meaning this is my 10th year doing it, which is also wild. This is what my table setup looked like. I have certainly improved over the years. Like, you gotta start somewhere. I used to be really hard on myself for like, look at how terrible it looked. You learn and you grow, and being able to look back and know I can do so much better is like a great feeling. I try not to cringe at myself anymore. It means I'm doing better. Don't you want to like continually improve? I think it's a good thing. I'm proud of the fact that I just like went out and did it, because I had no experience with any of this. So I think I technically opened my Etsy shop a month before GraniteCon. So it was like August 17th, 2014, I think. The first thing anyone ever bought off there was a set of custom Hogwarts robes. Not a thing I do anymore, even though it was like my biggest seller for years. I just can't stomach supporting turfs. There are worse sacrifices to make. I'm clearly doing fine without it, but it was definitely a big pillar of my initial business. Because after GraniteCon, I didn't do much in the way of other events. I think I kind of just stuck with that, and then my old high school used to do a little mini Comic-Con. It was like $10 for a table. GraniteCon, it was like over 100 for the first one. It's pushing 300 now. But I also didn't even think about the fact, like this seems so obvious now, whatever inventory you're bringing and whatever cost each of those things are, you need to make sure you have enough stuff so that you can set yourself up for success to earn enough money to pay yourself back for things. Where I don't think, even if I had sold everything, the total would have added up to much more than what the table fee was, because that's how little I was charging. So I was mostly doing like perler bead jewelry, hooded scarves. I think that was mostly it. There wasn't much going on. I think I had like 3 different categories of items. Then the following year is when I had a lot of infinity scarves. I was really proud of how they looked, and the display my partner helped me build, where it looked like Mario pipes, and we even had perler bead piranha plants sticking out, but it takes up the whole table. But that was fine, because that was like the main thing that I had. You know, thinking back on it, obviously I'm better at sewing now, and I think my ideas are more involved, which is great. Like, I never thought I'd be able to make the stuff that I'm making now. And my favorite part about all of it is that I trust myself more as far as my like design instincts and just things that I like. Where I so depended on the love of a specific fandom, I got a lot of licensed fabrics, which I'm actively trying to move away from. That has given me a lot of confidence in just the response to things. Where like, I'm literally printing my own fabric sometimes, and people are liking it. So that feels very good. You gotta start somewhere. I think a lot of artists in many mediums start out very fan art heavy and then kind of move into their own thing once they find their voice. So that is how I feel. So yeah, I didn't do a ton of events because I was working full time at a dental lab. I think during part of that I was probably also working part-time at a dog kennel and also posting videos every week. I just didn't consider doing more markets because of all the fan art. I didn't feel like that stuff would translate well to other types of events. So that's also been freeing, kind of breaking away away from that is I do all these Mill Number 5 markets, and I do a lot of like spooky bitch type events and alternative markets. And I even do okay at regular art fairs, craft fairs, art markets, whatever you want to call them, holiday bazaars. And I never thought I'd be able to do that. So that's a big part of my income. Obviously my table display has evolved over the years. I did Etsy kind of in waves. Like there was probably a window of maybe 2 years I just didn't really do anything with it, but it was still when I was working full-time elsewhere. I left the dental laboratory job I had had for a decade at the end of 2018, and then I worked at the end of 2017. All of 2018, I was an apprentice at a costume shop. I was absolutely soul crushed losing that job at the end of 2018, but it gave me the fire I needed to start taking my own business way more seriously. There's definitely a difference in my pace and my effort of doing things online and doing in-person markets. I started doing a lot of Mill Number 5 events down in Lowell, Massachusetts, just having way more of a presence online. I started pushing my like business Instagram and sharing my small business journey with everybody on here, which has been a huge help. Y'all are like such a big chunk of my business support. So thank you so much for being here. I've had a Patreon for 8 years maybe, and that has also helped give me this like extra stability I needed to start doing this more and more. At the end of 2018, I got a part-time job at a uniform store, still doing sewing. I kept that up for like 4-ish years, 4.5 maybe. And then last May, so May of 2023, they closed, and I was still supposed to kind of be doing contract work for them, but they just never gave me any. I don't know if they're in business at all anymore. I finally got my W-2 like a week ago, and we're almost into March. So like, not that I'm surprised, but I was a little irritated about it. Don't get me started on taxes. I'm not a tax expert, but I have learned a lot of things over the years, and like I stubbornly do my own. The one bit of advice I will give you is like track your receipts, track all of your expenses, so that when you have to claim all your income, you aren't getting taxed on the full cost of it. It costs you money to make that money. A word of caution, because I feel like I didn't do that in the first year or two. I had to do all of that kind of paperwork. We're coming up on a year of me doing this full time, but it's multifaceted, right? I do YouTube videos. I feel like that's part of my business. That is supported by Patreon and by Etsy sales from y'all. Some of you have come out to my in-person markets. I feel like I kind of rotate between my focuses. I haven't had a lot in the way of markets, so I have my backdrop set up. So I'm hoping early next week I can take new photos for Etsy products and get new listings up, work on that side of things. Then I'll get back into market season and focus on that more. I mean, YouTube/Patreon stuff is ongoing. It's because of y'all I'm able to kind of rotate between the other things. I do alterations for folks now, where I used to be too afraid to do that because I was like, me making my own clothes / making clothes from scratch and then selling them like a finished product is one thing, but me tinkering with other people's existing garments was a little more stressful. If I can't do it, I will let someone know that I'm not comfortable with it. That has been very helpful. Now I get to do this for a living. And as I mentioned, like, I'm a chronically sick kid. I have a lot of medical shit going on all the time. So the fact that I get to do things at my own pace, work hard when I'm feeling able to, and then like this past week, I've taken it a little easier because my body has needed some rest. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without y'all, and it is so cool getting to share the whole journey because I get to look back and see how far it's all come because I've been documenting it the whole time to share it with everybody. I just hope you all know how big of a part you have played in this getting to be my career now. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm rolling in it. I'm making less over the course of a year than I ever have, but I'm also happier and more fulfilled than I have ever been. I also would not be able to do any of this without the support of my partner. So I know I am incredibly lucky for the life I get to live now, is being an artist. And that feels really cool. And being able to call myself that. I feel like that was a word I didn't let myself use for a long time. You know, this may not be forever. I might not be able to sustain this. I'm so thankful for however long I do get to do this. Thank you for being here and letting me do that. So yeah, I appreciate everybody so much. I know a lot of us have been on kind of similar journeys. You know, the past year or two has been really hard as far as sales for small businesses. So it's been like an extra big struggle. And I know a lot of people got into it during lockdown and stuff because A lot of people were stuck at home. I was just kind of trucking along doing stuff I've already been doing. So it was nice having more people in the trenches with me, but I know it has not been the easiest for small businesses as of late. Even more so, thank you for any bit of support. Like even if you've just shared a post of something that you liked that I made, I'm very glad and very thankful and very lucky that you're here. That's gonna do it for me. I will have a studio vlog up next Friday. I will see you back here for that. Thank you so much for hanging out. In this economy,